of Environment, how are you incorporating the community around to ensure that their innovations to protect the forest are actually implemented in terms of also finances?
Next question.
Asante sana. My name is Dr. Mariam Barasa. She's in charge of lands, housing, urban areas, and physical planning. Other than that, I'm also an environmentalist. My question goes to the first presenter from Net Fund. That indeed, there are many advantages of fencing a forest. Going by what he has presented here, you saw the benefits accrued from fencing Karura Forest, and of course the other one that he talked about. So it's good to fence a forest. I know quite a number of enterprises who are not buying in very easily, but I want to ask if it's possible for all of us to approach the global funders, like the ones funding the loss and damage as from the Convention of Parties of 2027 resolution. Loss and damage is a fund created by the United Nations to ensure that those developed countries that are causing problems in climate change pay for it. And those who don't cause benefit from it. So I'm asking myself from where I sit, is it possible to approach them so that they can avail to us funds to be able to fence this great forest so that we realize these great benefits that have been outlined here? Carbon credits is another area. Very, very interesting. That for those who are not able to adopt, they pay that one who is adopting. So really, are we able to approach them? Number two, the area of Mukombero and other traditional herbs. Very interesting and very wonderful. Again, I know it is a challenge to get these people to plant these traditional herbs out of the forest. And all of us know because of the various different needs that appear in the forest that are not outside of the forest, and therefore the Mukombero may not do very well out there. But however, all is not lost. It's possible to commercialize the production of these traditional herbs so that if indeed you are to drop in an investor, you have big volumes that can attract attention. Otherwise, as it is now, the small bits that are being picked from all over in the forest do not lend themselves very well to commercialization. And I want to also advise that it's important that research is actually done, and especially when the compound of the university, they have a laboratory. They can do a lot of research to establish the active ingredients in those traditional herbs that will carry the day, so that if somebody found it in Nakumat or Chandarana, they'll say, the active ingredient in this Mukombero is this, and it does this, the way he has said, it once worked on a COVID patient. Thank you.
Thank you. Two more questions, and then we'll get responses and do another set of questions.
I'm called Daniel Mchesia Mrende. I'm from Canfork. Canfork, we are actually improving growing of Mondia, Mukombero in the around Kakamega forest. My question goes to the Waziri of Environment. We signed an agreement sometimes back in 2019. That was Canfork in collaboration with the County Government of Kakamega. And from that time, we had an investor who actually wanted to import the flavor of Mukombero. But where this particular investor went, we don't know. So we were appealing to the ministry, the Minister of Environment, to follow up
Mr.
this
Daniel,
particular issue.
Just turn, we are taking videos, so we'd like you to be seen.
Okay, so I'm appealing to the Waziri of Environment to follow up this particular matter. Where this particular investor went, we don't actually know. He was actually this particular investor was France. And we wanted you to make a follow-up so that because we had done a lot of outgrowing, we have been domesticating to plant this Mukombera within the homes, and it has been doing very well. So quite a number of farmers have actually planted all over the Kakamega County, and we came up with this particular CANFOC as a community-based organization to promote the domestication and commercialization of Mukombero. And we also need support so that we can be able to commercialize this particular product, not only waiting for this particular investor to come, but we can as well, as we are doing the packaging of this particular powder, but we need to improve it so that it can actually meet the standards, so that maybe you can be able to find it in the shelves, CAPS standards. We need to do barcoding, and we need that particular support. We also need to come up to make things like juice. We also need that particular support. Maybe through your ministry, we can get that particular support, or any other investor who can actually support us to do the same. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And to the last question.
Thank you very much, Chris. My name is Boaz Bulimo. I'm the chairman in Kakwasco. Our biggest concern is Amas Humuriango. And I have two issues that I wish to just mention that could be responded to. The first one, we've been talking about diversity. I just don't know whether there is somebody watching the endangered species, both fauna and flora. Because I think it's very important that we have a way of watching over what we are losing from the nature. The second concern is on eucalyptus. I think there is what we could call the eucalyptus menace. If you look at most of our riverbanks, the eucalyptus have come in and replaced our indigenous plants. Now, I don't know what we are doing about it, because if you continue to allow the eucalyptus to continue to colonize, particularly in our catchment areas, then definitely we are preparing for disaster or a crisis. Thank you.
Thank you. I'll allow the presenters to respond to those questions first. But I'd like to quickly give comments on a few questions that were asked. There's this question that was asked by Dr. Barasa to Waziri on the loss and damage fund and opportunities for carbon credits. So I'd just like to note that as far as these two are concerned, first of all, as a country, it's been difficult to trade in carbon because we did not have the regulations in place. So what was there is that we had private investors coming into the country, signing agreements with communities that were really not giving a fair deal to the communities. So as a government, what we've been able to do is develop the carbon regulations. So the regulations are at 95% ready. They're at the bill level of parliament and should be approved very soon. So at least that will give a framework within which we trade carbon. On the loss and damage fund, we've had the just concluded United Nations Environment Assembly, the 6th session. I think it just concluded 3 weeks ago. It was in the first week of March, as well as the Conference of Parties 28. And as the African countries, the developing countries, we actually put up a big case for this. And I will share the outcomes of the UNEA and the COP26 on this. And Waziri, this is a big opportunity for us to, as a county, to pursue, because we have Kakamega Forest, which is one of the most intact forests. That's a very big opportunity. And now that we have the regulations in place to basically regulate how we trade, I think it's something that the county can look at as an investment opportunity. There's another question that was asked. I don't know where it is. Maybe let me just also note that as we're asking questions around investment, We've had 2 major programs coming to Kakamega County. I don't know if you're aware. So together with our partners, IFAD, we are setting up a trust fund for the River Yala Basin that will be focusing at the River Yala from source to the end, and looking big at supporting nature-based solutions and livelihood opportunities for this case. And we had a design mission, I think 2 weeks ago, here in Kakamega County. In the design mission, we're asking ourselves, what are these critical value chains for the county? So maybe Waziri, you can also pick up with the team on this to ensure that the Mukombero value chain is included as a priority for Kakamega. We also have the Integrated Natural Resources Management Program, again by IFAD. It's a very big program, $250 million US, and also having Kakamega County as one of the beneficiaries. So you can see these are great opportunities for investment, especially for the community groups and the enterprises. So with that, I'd like to karibisha Waziri to quickly respond to the questions asked to her.
Yeah, thank you so much for your questions. The first one was by the journalist on how, as a county government or how as government, we are incorporating the views of the communities around the forests for their own benefit. Now, we work with the communities under the organizations that we call CFS, that is Community Forest Associations. We also work with RUAs. RUAs were mainly formed by Water Resources Authority, and CFS were mainly formed in collaboration with KFS and KWS. So these 2 groupings, they are formed by members of the communities living around those forests or around those water catchment areas. And they collaborate a lot, both with the county government and with the national government parastatals, in protecting and conserving our biodiversity around and within the forest. One such example, I'll take the example of Lugari Forest. We are working with the CFS and the RUAs there, together with USID, DAI, and I'm glad Japheth Mbuvi is here. He'll bear witness to that. We are organizing them into groups, and we've asked them to form cooperatives. We are looking at the beekeeping value chain, whereby we are training them, forming them into cooperatives, supporting them financially. Like the standard price of a beehive, modern beehive, is 6,000. So they'll be paying half. If a farmer is putting half an acre under beekeeping, and beekeeping is one of the most profitable agribusinesses you may think of, because once you've put it there, you are not going to buy inputs. The only input is buying the hive and maybe your clothes for harvesting the honey. So they'll be supported halfway through, and then they'll be funded through the cooperatives so that they are able to make money while at the same time conserving the riparian zones, the water catchment areas, and around the forest hedges. The other way we are supporting them through the program of fencing the forest, we have employed sons and daughters of those communities living around the forest to be forest attendants, and they receive a salary of about 9,000 per month for each of them. Then, of course, there are many other programs they benefit from, like fish farming, and they are, through the Forest Management Act, there is a framework through which they work closely with KFS and they get benefits from the forests. So there is a lot we are doing with the communities. If there's anyone living around the forest, the only solution is to join the nearest CFA, the nearest RUA, the nearest cooperative, and they'll be supported. Thank you. Then on the issue of who is looking at the endangered species, I'm sure he will help me answer that. But also we work closely with NEMA. As a county government, because we are working in a political environment, we continue doing awareness and sensitization to tell our people that eucalyptus is not the best species to be planted along the riparian zones. So we are replacing, we give the communities living around these forests the right seedlings to plant. But we also are collaborating with NEMA to make sure now they help us on the enforcement part for people to observe the distances that they are supposed to observe on the riparian zone, and also to cut down the eucalyptus that are in the riparian areas. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Aziri. I don't know if you're able to address the question on the agreement.
CANFOC, I know there's a team that is working on the Mukombera. They've been doing a lot. There is even, I think, beer from Mukombera. Wine, sorry, there is wine made from Mukombera. There is a powder you can give to young children who don't want to eat, to force them to eat. You'll give them an appetite by giving that powder of Mukombera. They'll get the appetite to eat. Even grown-ups, to increase their libido, they eat that Mukombera. So there's a lot that team is doing. I was not in office in 2019, but together with my team, we will follow up to retrieve that MOU. Then we follow up on the implementation. Thank you.
Thank you, Aziri. Chitechi, on the value chains question.
Thank you. One, two, yeah, thank you. So in terms of the value chain question, as Kenya Climate Innovation Center, yes, we work with small and medium enterprise to develop those nature-based solutions. And my advice would be that, one, you need to look at what do you really want to achieve. Because I've heard Waziri mentioned there's a wine, there's a powder, there could be something else. And I think as Waziri mentioned, if you have a prototype, you can come to us, then we can work with you to now develop that particular product much further. Because I think one of the biggest challenge is for you to go out and say, my wine is Mukombero, but what differentiates that wine from the ones made out of grapes? So I think that's, we need to look at the differentiation. So if you're also having a powder and you're saying if this powder is given to young children, what is the main ingredient that you need to have in that ingredient that you'll say, this product of mine then increases appetite. And if it is an aphrodisiac where it increases libido, what are the main ingredients? What are the side effects? So we need all that, and we normally work with enterprises, one, to develop safe products, develop standards around those particular products, help them in terms of packaging, and then moving those particular products to the market. But one of the other things that we also work with the enterprise is in terms of scalability. Because when you come to us, our first question will be, yes, you have a prototype, but then what is your scalability model? Because I know you'll need a lot of Mukombero if we go commercial. Because, for example, if you are given a contract to supply that product, for example, to QuickMart or Naivas, they may demand particular quantities. Are you able to meet those quantities if you now move to that level? So we would want to see how would you encourage the back end, where now there's the primary production before these people then supply to you. So we need also to see that particular one. Then also for the example, the gooseberry is the same. Right now I know it grows anywhere near the fences in the forest, but you need a bit of research, maybe work with Cadro to see then how do you commercially then commercialize that particular crop, and you're able to build scale. And if you look in the program on page 13, currently we have a call. So anyone in those value chains, you can actually make an application to us. That call is currently open. It will run for the next 1 month. And you should be able to now come to us, and we'll be able to support you. In terms of financing, we'll give you actually example a grant. If you're just coming with a prototype and you need that product developed further into a commercially viable product so that you can be able to move to the next phase. We also provide matching grants so that maybe you say now I'm at production, I need machinery, so as KCIC will tell you maybe look for 10%, then we can be able to fund you with, for example, 90% to get those particular machineries. So there are opportunities that are there to build enterprise, and as we know, small and medium enterprises are the backbone of the economy. And in Kakamega, I can see, I know there's a wide variety of nature-based solutions that people could look at, just like what he mentioned about. I may not be familiar with the herb, but I'm sure it has a lot of medicinal value. Maybe what needs to be done is just to see what are the active ingredient, how do we then process it to be more effective, and when you're going to the market and saying this is a herbal product that maybe enhances clearing your respiratory system, then that's what people will get. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Chitechi. Before I give it to Christian, I'd just like to contribute to what Ernest has said. So currently, NetFund is developing a financing mechanism for supporting nature-based solutions and green enterprises. And this is known as the Green Enterprise Financing Mechanism. We hope that the fund will be up in a year's time, and we will be capitalizing it with funds from development partners and the private sector. So that's also another opportunity for financing for you to have in mind that will be coming up. At this juncture, Christian, there's a question that is written here asking, what are the other benefits of fencing to the community, apart from what you had presented here?
Yes, many thanks. Clearly, the other benefits will be site-specific. And I can mention a benefit that we noticed in the Aberdares that came to our attention without even us thinking that we'll have an impact there. Is that in the past, the elephants were, and the buffaloes were coming out at night, and they were still on the farmland up to 7, 8 o'clock in the morning. And by being there, they were preventing the kids to go to school. So we had almost a generation of kids missing many classes because of the presence of the elephants and the buffaloes on the farmland. So actually, by putting the fence, we're actually enabling the kids to go back to school. So sometimes you find that those fences have quite interesting side benefit. Now, Madam the county minister alluded to it. Fence have to be maintained, and they are being maintained by fence attendants. And those fence attendants are actually members of neighboring communities who are being given a job of maintaining a fence. Every 4 kilometers, you have a fence attendant. So you have also job creation being provided for the local communities. In the case of the Aberdare, we have 114 fence attendants. But even the fence build process is not being done by contracting remote companies coming here in Kakamega and building the fence. The fence is being done by the same neighboring community members. Of course, it's being done under the technical supervision of the Kenya Wildlife Service. But so jobs are being created from the onset, from the time we build the fence up to the time we start maintaining the fence. And the maintenance of the fence is forever. As long as you have a fence, that fence needs to be maintained. So there are actually quite a number of side benefits from the fence that you can't quite easily notice. I don't know whether I can make some additional comments on some other questions.
Maybe we can tie those additional comments to the second round of questions, Christian.
Okay, that's fine.
So I'd like to welcome the second round of questions. As Waziri, there's a question that was asked on what you are doing with regards to the eucalyptus tree.
Yeah, I'll ask the representative of CEO KWS to help me answer this, because we work in close consultation and collaboration with the national government entities.
Thank you very much, Waziri, and thank you to the question, Bwana CEO. I think you had even, I think, one or two before the issue of eucalyptus, and you are asking what are we doing, who is monitoring the endangered species that are around, to the extent either we know their status, we know what to do with them, so then they remain with us in the posterity. So I think going on the off is that, yes, when you speak about Kakamega being a natural bank of quite a number of species, both flora and fauna, we have some bird species. One of them is Tanner's remomela. This is a scientific name. This bird is specifically found just within. That's what we call endemism. It's just endemic, naturally found within this locality. So what does that mean then? If you have such kind of species, it means either the forest remains intact or these species go. So I think for me, like I said earlier, is that the first caregiver would be the community. So that charges people in authority, Kenya Wildlife Service, Ministry of through the county, and even partners, Kenya Forest Service. We need to have these forums in which we exchange information with the caregivers to the extent we know what resource are we holding as a community. So I think this is an occasion, I think an eye-opener, and that I would charge my day-to-day managers around, so then we start this sensitization on how much of biodiversity and ecological resource in its components is available and stuck in our midst. So then people now know if we go forward and protect this place, it's because we are protecting these many species that are within. Kakamega Forest has some specific frogs that are endemic here. We also have in the north at Kambiri called Kisere Forest, which is adjacent to this, still under management of Wildlife Service. We have the Dibraza monkey, a very special, beautiful monkey found in that particular area. But again, as you lose the acreage of this forest, means you have no habitat for these animals to be in. So that I agree. In terms of the flora, we had already mentioned Mondia wite, which is a Mukhobero, and I think it's various genera. And then you have the osmum varieties. There are several species of osmum. All these are species found in here. You need to go back to the Congo itself for us to come and realize this. But within the East African bloc, then we are the luckiest guys holding the last of these species. You're also going to look at butterfly species. There are special butterflies here. I can't remember the exact species, but there's the papillona groups, by which one of these papillona is still available within here. So the care means once we know, that means we can let the environment remain intact. And now we start looking at, can we look at butterfly farming and harvest the silk and sell? It's top dollar. This is happening in the coast. We had efforts before to send people from south in Isecheno to go learn in Kilifi on how this is done. And I think it's high time, together with Waziri, we get these communities back on track and we give them, because it's an exchange, a foreign exchange. Today, we're suffering with the dollar Kenya exchange, Kenya shilling exchange, and here we have a dollar ANA. So I think it's something that we can do. So as regards to the issue of eucalyptus and among other species of trees that are now endangering the rest of our survival, top among this is eucalyptus. Sorry, we are missing Kenya Forest Service on this. I think they're the very experts who would elaborate on this. But I want to say here, we have a variety of species, more than 200 of eucalyptus. There are those that grow in drier areas. There are those that must take water in excess of 200 liters a day for them to survive. Now, when you have that kind of species and it's the one you planted in your watershed, that means you're actually drying your land, so then you feed the tree. And here it's very popular because, I mean, eucalyptus has come very handy to producing the furniture that you see in town. So I think we just need to have this conversation so then we bring in the best eucalyptus that you can do. Fast maturing and early growing and maturing, So then they produce the furniture that is needed, but at the same time, it takes care of the environment. So there are species varieties of eucalyptus that are good for our environment, and there are those that drain from us. So I think it's just us getting a proper education, Kenya Forest Service being at the forefront, and the support on how we can do this as communities. Thank you very much.
Thank you. So let's do this a bit different. 30 seconds per each question and 1 minute responses so that we can be able to accommodate. And as you ask your questions, please face that side because we have videos that are being recorded. 30 seconds, please.
Yes, thank you so much. Hiram Nixon. I'm a third-year student, also a member from Kakamega County. I'm concerned with the Department of Climate Change and our CAC. We have, when the county government is planning over the town, you could see machineries coming, demolishing buildings, and forcing issues to happen the way the county wants it. Now, about the eucalyptus trees, there's a lot of discussion, but this is involving a lot of diplomacy. As a disaster management student, I could request and suggest that if the county government could imply some force to those members settling around the limestone, because we want it to cry, and those people settling around the riparian land, the rivers.
Your 30 seconds is almost over.
Thank you.
Just
so
be straight to the point.
So that the eucalyptus trees are cut down using the power source, and those members, the villagers, be given some trees that could save the climate. Thank you.
Thank you. That is not a question, it's a remark. 30 seconds, please.
Thank you. My name is Honorable Dan Muchiha Mukofu, the MCA representing Isoka Central Ward, the ward that is just adjacent to Kakamega Forest. I want to appreciate the efforts of our good funders that have helped us fence the first 15 phase kilometer at Kakamega Forest. You talked of the fence attendants, and in collaboration with the County Government of Kakamega, I just got a report the other week that the fence attendants that you left behind to take care of the fence have not been paid for the last 6 months since phase 1 was complete. Will you please clarify who is supposed to take care of their wages? Because I'm afraid, as the member of representing the area there, they might also vandalize the good work we have done. And initially, before we started the works, you saw us experiencing those cases of those poles being taken away by the youth, and we restored the situation. And number two, though the question I wanted to direct it to KFS that is not around here, but I think you will take charge. I don't know the protocols, but we have had officers that have overstayed in the station for over 20 years now. And one has just been given transfer to a different station, but she came back yesterday, part 1. And it is like she has a way of working with some community around there in crop braiding and other cases in the forest that she understands very well. That is why she wishes to stay in that forest for so long. Can you help us, or can you give direction on that? And then finally, 1 shilling to 1 shilling commitment from Rhino. I wanted to understand if that funding from County Government of Kakamega, that in collaboration with other stakeholders like Net Fund, Rhino, is part of the fund that can be 1 shilling commitment. Can you clarify that one? Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mheshimiwa.
Good evening. I am Cheryl Achesa Mukavare, and my question goes to Wakili. We have had a program from the Treasury, financing of locally led climate action through the ward climate change committees. How successful would you say the program has been so far? Number 2, the county government is supposed to remit 2% of its revenue to this fund. Given the things that we see, like the doctors' strike and so forth, how would you prioritize to make sure that this 2% is not allocated elsewhere, but to climate action? Thank you.
Thank you. Those are very good questions. 30 seconds.
My name is Nixon Lijodi, the program coordinator for Young Environmental Network in Africa. My question goes to KWS. One of our members, called KIP, had a snake park in Shinyalu, Isecheno. And that snake park used to generate income for us. We used to have 25,000 guests, especially schools. And KWS came, took our snakes, took our crocodiles, and our ostriches. We want to revive that ecotourism because our bank account is broke. Kindly guide us. Final question.
Please,
the youth.
Let's give opportunities to other people.
Good evening. My name is Margaret, Young African Leadership Initiative leader, Kakamega County. Also the chair of Future Leaders Initiative. My question goes to the ministry. Do you have a mechanism of partnering with startup CBOs, which are in the grassroots, who are protecting the mini forest and the mini water catchment areas? How can we go about it? How can we apply to such, to get funds? Kindly give us directives on that. And then for us, CBOs in the grassroots, we actually, our target group is 10 to 18 years old, and we're trying also to tell them more about environmental, how we can conserve our environment, because it's better to start early. How are you also trying to catch that age group? Because it's better to start early rather than starting from the universities. People don't probably appreciate much about their environment. Thank you.
And to the last.
Okay, my name is Wafula Gerishum from Shambere National Polytechnic. My question starts with this. One, there have been many efforts regarding environmental degradation. In spite of all those efforts, we still have a lot of challenges. Our rivers are disappearing, our streams are disappearing, and so on and so forth. Has somebody taken some statistics to find out the extent to which these efforts are yielding fruits? And if they are not, do we have any mitigations to change the situation? Two, in the year, I think 2010, it was said that there was going to be connection of water from Tindinyo to this town, Kakamega. And to date, we still have so many people who took meters. They even connected water pipes, but they are still experiencing problems. Much as we are saying maybe there have been investments, is that particular maybe opportunity closed? And if it's not, because we have so many people are longing for water in this particular municipality, what's being done? Thank you.
Yes, my name is Walela Brian Kokonya, Fisheries Officer working with the County Government of Kakamega. My question goes to James, the representative from Muliro Farmers Group. So the herbs that are medicinal that we're trying to commercialize, and we want investors to come in, and we want to do processing. So right now there's a campaign on cutting down on processed foods. So can we, as local people, create ways to do local investment in a way that the quality of our herbs, medicinal herbs that are coming from Kakamega, they can be very authentic in despite all the challenges that we are having, and also can we not follow the processing approach so that the term traditional medicinal herbs remain traditional? And my last question is to Christian. He's doing good work at Rhino Arc, but then again, mentorship. What are the kind of the mentorship steps that the organization is putting in place to pass the torch to young people who are coming up in the environmental space so that they can continue the good work both in Nairobi, in Kakamega, and countrywide. Thank you.
Thank you. So let's allow the presenters to react to those questions. And we'll start with Muliro Farmers.
Hello. Okay. Thank you very much for that question. The term traditional medicine remains traditional. Yes, I think you are right to some extent, but if we use our medicine the traditional way we have been using it, take for example, you go to the forest to harvest the leaves, then you use it once and for all, and then next time you go back and use it. What we have done is adding value to the way we have been doing the traditional way. This is why we have a product that you can use for a longer time other than going to the forest every time you are harvesting and using it. So what we have done is adding value to the traditional way we have been using and having a product that you can use for a longer time. I don't know if you have answered your question.
One question each. I mean, 1 minute each.
Yeah, maybe just to add to what you have said, what I want to emphasize is that you'll find even in modern medicine, most of the ingredients actually come from nature-based solutions. So what then can happen is that how best do we ensure that we are actually harvesting the best ingredient while at the same time also conserving those particular, whether they are shrubs or whatever the medicine is coming from. And that's where now the conservation bit of the nature-based solution actually comes in. So we can say, and also look at in terms of conserving and documenting this traditional knowledge. Because I think with time it's getting lost, and maybe there will come a generation, if you ask them about the herb, they may never know that there's a herb that is still existing in Kakamega forest, and it still has some, for example, medicinal benefits. So also documenting that traditional knowledge and preserving it will also help. Thanks.
On the question of mechanism for partnering with CBOs, Chitechi?
Yeah, so in terms of CBOs, there are quite a number of support even for ourselves. We have a program here on agribusiness that is supporting CBOs, small help, self-help groups. What we are looking for actually is to support you to formalize those such organizations. Because as you grow and as you look even for more funding and we help you to scale, it will reach a time we may want even to go to a commercial bank. So if you are not formalized, formally registered, you have proper records, then it becomes a challenge. So one of the things that I would encourage is look for organizations like ourselves, like NetFund, where you can actually take your ideas, let them help you scale it, formalize that particular entity, and move it to the next level.
Christian?
Yes, many thanks. First, on the issue of the fence attendant, and many thanks, Board MCA, for raising your concern on this matter. So I'm sure you were there on the 24th of February last year when we launched the fence in Kakamega, and all the parties signed a partnership agreement on how we are going to proceed. And that partnership agreement actually spelled out the role of every single entities and agencies in building and maintaining the fence. So, for example, the role of RANWAC in maintaining the fence is to provide the fence vehicle, all the running cost of the fence maintenance vehicle. We provide all the tools, the gears, and the material for fence maintenance. But the actual salary of the fence attendant is a responsibility, I believe, from the county government. I can see Madame nodding. So I'm sure that Madame will clarify on this matter very nicely after I make my few comments. But so we have all a specific role to play towards fence building and fence maintenance. Now, on the question of mentoring, it has not yet started here in Kakamega, but it will start quite soon. We are actually involved in developing conservation education programs around the forest where we operate. We have developed conservation curricula together with the Ministry of Education, Kenya Forest Service, Kenya Wildlife Service, around Eburu and Southwest Mao. We have also a program in Aberdeen's, and we intend to develop also a conservation education curricula for both primary and secondary school here around Kakamega. We intend this year to start with a survey of all the schools that are within a 5-kilometer radius from the forest, so that we truly understand and get the initial feedback from the school themselves before we start basically developing the curricula. But we have also, on a different matter and different level, we have also an internship program at UNEP. That's a different type of mentoring, but that also is part of the answer to that question. Thank you.
Thank you, Christian. And finally to Waziri.
Yeah, thank you so much. There are quite a number of issues that were raised towards the county government. I'll start with the issue of payment for fence attendants. My office actually received the request from KWS in the middle of the financial year when we had already done our budget. So after receiving the request, we decided to factor it in the supplementary budget, and I think it was approved sometimes last week. So we are making arrangements to pay. I think it has accumulated to a figure of over 3 million, and it will be paid. I'm sure the Assembly has already passed the supplementary too, and that's how we plan to pay them. The request came after we had already done our budget and we had not factored it in. The number 2 is on FLOCA program. The FLOCA means financing locally led climate actions with the communities. And this is a fund that comes to the county government from National Treasury. We budgeted for the funds. The county gives 2% of the total development budget, of the total county budget actually, not development. And Kakamega County has remained faithful towards that. Though now we faced challenges in terms of trying to transfer these funds from the county revenue fund to the county climate change account because of the conditions that were placed on counties by the control of budget. They said that the agreement should have been approved by the county assembly. And you know, getting the county assembly to approve an agreement is a process. You must start with your committee, then it goes to the full house, and it is not cheap. It is not cheap. It's a process which we have since complied, and now we are just waiting for the control of budget to transfer those funds to the county climate change account. The last financial year, our own contribution was about 96 million, which of course we have requested for 2 batches of 40 million. So far, what has come from National Treasury this financial year is around 11 million, both of which we have not received, but our county ward climate change committees are already in place. We have already identified projects or solutions that they want to do under climate change, because the condition is that these actions must come from the communities. So we have formed these climate change committees. They have been trained and they know their work. They have again identified the projects and programs that they want to do. So we shall soon commence the process of implementing the programs. Some of these programs have already gone through the procurement process and they're already being implemented using our own county contribution. So far, we have not been able to transfer the release from National Treasury under FLOCA because of the roadblocks and many, I would call them, roadblocks are placed on our way. Although they have released, but using that money is an uphill task because of the conditions that have been put on counties. But most counties have now since completed. I think next week somewhere in Kisumu, the FLOCA program, Nairobi, are going to meet the governor, the county executive, that is the steering committee, and the implementation committee. The steering committee is made up of CECs. The implementation committee is made up of directors and some chief officers. So once, I'm sure that meeting is going to unlock everything so that we get the programs from the World Climate Change Committees running. So to me, I would say it's a success, because what we have done so far, we have used the 2% that is county contribution to start moving. Partnering with CBOs to be able to run climate change funds, we have already done that. In fact, the County Department of Environment, during the cleanup day in Kakamega, we signed MOUs with 3 youth groups from the 3 regions of Kakamega, and the county will be supporting them in raising tree nurseries, in setting up material recovery centers, both for e-waste and other forms of waste, and even in carrying out afforestation and reforestation. So I encourage all CBOs that are doing work in environment, in climate change, to come to us. If you do not get the CEC, you are free to talk to the chief officer or the director of climate change, or within the climate change unit, we have about 3 officers to attend to the public. So our doors are open and you are welcome on board. Thank you. Sorry, about water. There's an issue on water. We have a challenge. There is rationing in town because we depend on water from Tindinho, and we have a shortfall of about 20,000 cubic meters of water. But as a county department, we have put in our budget 30 million to help us revive Savannah treatment plant, the treatment plant that is just across town when you are going towards Shinyalu. So the county department we've already gotten the BQs from Kakuasko, and we have advertised. So a contractor should be coming on site anytime to revive that Savannah treatment plant so that we supplement the water that is coming from Tindinho. And some of the shortage also is caused by damages that are caused by road works. The roads contractors have been destroying our water lines. But what we have agreed since then, that within the BQs that are done by the Ministry of Roads, usually we have to input a cost on repairing the water lines in case they are destroyed. Then in the issue of involving 10 to 18 years old, that is a program that is in place. In fact, we have a program on environmental awareness and sensitization, and in most cases, we go to schools. And even part of the FLOCA program, the FLOCA financing, I'm told the disbursement that is coming next, part of the money is conditioned towards involving the youth so that we change their attitudes from the beginning, starting from ECD to standard 8, to now it is CBC, I don't know, it's class 6 and junior secondary. So part of our financing is going to target that age group so that in future we have adults who already value climate change and environmental conservation. Thank you.
Thank you, Aziri. I'd like us to do a wrap up on this because one of our partners, Christian, has a flight to catch. But I think what we'll do is, Aziri, I'll request that we break the program a bit. I'd like us to do a group photo of our presenters and our high-level guests, and then we'll release Christian as we do wrap up, and then Aziri, you'll close the session for us. So maybe just line up in front here. It won't take more than 2 minutes. Our CEC's chief officers, Mheshimiwa. So there's a present for Christian before he catches his flight. Just one, Mapesa. We'll also have presents for the other speakers. So, Baraza, you had comments?
Asante, Bakari. Thank you very much. And Mheshimiwa Dan had a question directed to KWS/KFS, but I think it's KFS. Yes, you are not very clear. You're saying there's one particular lady who keeps going and coming. So I didn't know from you whether it's a good thing or it's a bad thing. Is she hurting being around, or she's enriching being around? The community doesn't want her to go. I tell you, as government, we have a standard tenure of stay of an officer within a particular area. But it's a standard. Sometimes it's honored, and it should be honored. It's always 3 years. After 3 years, you're supposed to move to a different area. However, there has been very consistent and persistent shortages of personnel, both in Kenya Wildlife Service and in Kenya Forest Service. Recently, Kenya Forest Service restocked, they added more staff, so I think that should be something they can readily address. But for me as a manager, I'll be very keen to understand why is a member of government being chased away from serving the community, who the government intended to be served. So we will address this with Kenya Forest Service, and we come back to you. So then we have an amicable, because a government worker is here technically on behalf of the people and delivering service. So if there's a problem on hindering the delivery of that service as intended, then there's a disciplinary mechanism for that officer. At worst case scenario, we can move or even fire. So we will take this up, so then we address that issue. Okay? But I hope it's not a matter of members of the public just collecting placards. We want so and so to go because she's very strict on conserving, on restricting them from destroying. So we will look at the pros and cons on what it is together with your view. Then we have a good decision for all of us. So thank you very much. Secondly, from Lijodi, are you in Lijodi or you gone? Now, Lijodi presents one of those situations that are not desirable for Kakamega Forest as a natural resource. He spoke of KEEP. KEEP used to stand for Kakamega Environmental Education Program. Daniel, if you remember, we were running with you and others on this program, those early days. And when we formed this, both in South, in Isecheno, as well as in Buyangu in the North, and the purpose was very simple. Bring in the communities. They are the ones to make the awareness to their fellow community members. And it happened over decades. Again, the other thing they were supposed to do, they are the ones who are guiding our visitors to the forest, because they have the natural history. They are the people of this place. And in the process of guiding a visitor through a trail, 1 or 2 kilometers, there's some dollar that was coming home. So I'm saddened to learn that KEEP is no longer in existence. What does that mean? The sustainability that was envisioned, the revenue benefits that were intended have been lost. So I think we need to sit down with our managers on the ground. And in the morning, we had this discussion with Kenya Forest Service, with myself and Rhino Arc, because we want this back. And what at a time when we have an institution called CFA, Community Forest Association. Out of our CFA, we have various user groups, including ecotourism groupings. I think let's have this conversation away from here. Let's get practical at the forest edge with the communities and get people to earn from this resource. Thank you very much.
Thank you. So in lieu of time, it's clear that we cannot exhaustively finish everything here. But I'd just like to say that these speakers are available. Their contacts will be availed. as well as the presentations. I think all in all, we've been able to achieve the objectives of this side event. We've been able to provide the forum for knowledge exchange on nature-based solutions and biodiversity enterprises, as well as explore the financing instruments and mechanisms available for supporting these two areas. So in terms of wrap-up, our take-home as the co-hosts and the organizers and the action points is that we have picked the issue of financing opportunities or gaps coming up as a priority, questions on loss and damage, carbon credits, and this is something that we are going to pick up with the county government and the other partners for support. Issues of value chains, including Mukombero and many others, are things we'll pick up with our partners, including Kenya Climate Innovation Center and NetFund. Issues on innovations and financing opportunities is also something for us as NetFund and KCIC, as well as the counties for support. And the issues of water harvesting, storage, and distribution are also components that we are going to ensure are mainstreamed as we design the projects for supporting Kakamega County. There's also the issues of endangered species and invasive species. Also, issues of eucalyptus, and maybe just to note that as government, we have come up with a site species monitoring tool. So this is basically a tool that can be able to show you what other tree species you can be able to plant in your land, apart from eucalyptus. And the drive is to have other commercially viable trees that can be planted in replacement of eucalyptus, and these include fruit trees. So that is something that is already in plan. And then the issues of capacity building and mentorship, also noting that NetFund and KCIC runs these programs, and you are free to get in touch with us for support. So with this said and done, feel free to get in touch with us. Myself, I'm in charge of research and M&D. You can get my contacts. I have my colleagues here. We have Chitechi. I know their doors are open because they are our partners, and we are ready to support. As we speak, we are currently designing programs that will also be supporting Kakamega in terms of biodiversity conservation and nature-based solution support. So with this said and done, I'd like to request Mr. Mutobera, our chief officer, to come and usher in our waziri to give her closing remarks and give us blessings to go home.
Yeah, thank you. As you've been told, my name is Justin Mutobera, the Chief Officer Environment, Natural Resources and Climate Change, Kakamega County. And I just want to thank NetFund for organizing to host this event today. We've learned a lot, including the need to domesticate forest products at home so that we reduce the urge for people to go to the forest, but they get the same thing that they could get in the forest on their farms. And another takeaway, yesterday when we were looking at the issues of water, the Chief of Party Western Kenya Water Project alluded to the fact that resources for development of water have continued to reduce. And you know, water and environment are conjoined. So we know that also resources for conserving environment has reduced. But our urge is that for anybody who is involved in development of waterworks and anything to do with water, should think of the sustainability by also including elements of conservation, elements of restoration that the Western Kenya Water Project is already doing, working with RUAs, working with CFS to ensure sustainability. And for your reading, the climate change department in the ministry has the following reports. We have a participatory climate risk assessment report that was developed in a participatory way. And we have also a Kakamega County climate action plan, climate change action plan. Our action plan has 8 sectors. Amongst them we have water, amongst them we have, but what is very important is the involvement of young people and children in matters climate change. Now I'll invite Waziri I'm seeing the Deputy Governor Viga with us here. So maybe Waziri will just come give her remarks and request the DG to officially close this for us. And then there will be some gifts for the speakers. We shall be asking those of us who are down there to come and give them. Thank you. So Waziri, you are welcome.
All protocols observed. Once again, good evening. Yeah, I just wanted, before I give my remarks and ask the DG Vihiga to close, some of you may not have understood because, you know, when the president is there, everybody is under tension and we do things quickly without even explaining why we are doing them. There is an MOU that my department signed with the Hydrobox. Hydrobox is a technology that was developed by a very young man who was in class 6 in Muranga. He's called John Magiro. He came up with, you know, when you see your child playing with things, it could come in a form of something that looks like a play, but eventually it will be an innovation that will change an entire generation. So that John Magiro, from the age of class 3, he started developing that innovation, and he came up with Hydrobox, which has since been modified by partners who have developed it into what we call Hydrobox hydropower generation. It's a kind of hydropower that is generated through that technology of Hydrobox without using turbines. And the uptime is almost 100%. So that is going to be a game changer for us here in the county, and all the investors who intend to come, we are going to sort out the issue of power blackouts completely. Therefore, you can rest assured that your manufacturing industry will be safe, your cottage industry and processing industry will be safe. Now, about Kakamega and Kakamega Forest, currently as a county, we are at 9.81% forest cover compared to the national average of 8.83%. Now the target is to have at least 10% by 2022. Therefore, as a county, we commit to contribute an achievement of a minimum of 10% forest cover by 2025 as part of the efforts to address the challenge of climate change. And therefore, we have the app of 15 billion trees. I want to urge every Kenyan to be able to download this app and use it as you plant trees, because it is a target that has been put in place by the national government, and it is up to us all to collectively achieve it. Article 69(1)(b) of the Constitution of Kenya emphasizes the need to work to achieve and maintain a tree cover of at least 10% land area in Kenya. The county government is putting in place various efforts to make sure we do this. The county fully supports this initiative, and the county government is contributing 100 million, approximately 10% of the total project cost, in a span of 4 years to support the fencing of Kakamega Forest. This year alone, the county government has contributed 25 million, that is Kakamega County, and Vihiga County has contributed 10 million towards the same. Together with Kenya Water Towers, we are supporting community and conservation groups to participate in commercial tree nursery production. This year alone, we have given them polytubes. We've given polytubes to over 100 groups. We have given seeds to over 50 groups, and they are actually raising tree nurseries for indigenous trees. We have embarked on capacity building of all these operators for production of seedlings. In collaboration with community forest associations, we have established 5 community tree nurseries with a capacity to produce 500,000 seedlings each season. The nurseries are connected to reliable sources of water to enable seedling production even during the prolonged dry spell. Through the school greening program, we have achieved the following. We have planted over 500,000 seedlings in public institutions, including schools, health facilities, and county polytechnics. We have inculcated the culture of tree growing in scouts by jointly participating in rehabilitation of degraded hill slopes and forests, e.g. Misango. Through days of environmental significance, like World Environment Day, we have partnered with school children to raise awareness on tree growing through songs, poems, and tree seedlings. We partner with local radio stations, including Lubao FM and Ingo FM, to promote tree planting in schools. We promote affirmative action by awarding tenders for tree planting in public institutions to women, youth, and persons with disability. The contractors are encouraged to buy the seedlings from the communities. This is because most of our groups are not able to meet those procurement rules. So once we give to contractors, we then give them the youth groups and women groups from which they are going to take the seedlings from. Investment potential, the following are the areas of investment and where we will need our partners to come and invest. There are a lot of investment potential in promoting nature-based enterprises, e.g. silkworm, beekeeping, stingless beekeeping, fish farming within the forest streams. The forest is rich in and diverse in snake species, and therefore an opportunity for anti-venom market leaders to invest in production of venom-derived drugs in pharmaceutical industry. Valorization of medicinal herbs such as Osimum species and Lipia ucambesis for production of analgesic, that is painkillers. Commercial research, certification, and production of tree seeds, including the indigenous fruit trees. Investment in pharmaceuticals of animal origin, that is Dibraza monkey, has been used in development of drugs for worms. Promotion of butterfly farming as pollinators. Research in primate ornithology, reptiles, and botany. Geotourism, ecotourism, circuit because of unique forest glades, stones, viewpoint nature trails. Potential for carbon offsets and credit, with each selling between $40 and $80. So in conclusion, the priority for our mothers is having increased access to water. If we are not able to upscale initiatives and responses necessary to mitigate impacts of climate change, then we risk exposing our communities to extreme water events, weather events, and climate change hazards, in particular droughts. So from yesterday's side event on water, we learned that the problem in water is not the problem of climate change, the problem is governance. So in the water sector, for us to bring water to the doorstep, it's governance issues. Otherwise, we have the water, we have enough water sources, so it's a governance issue. But then, climate change is a problem for water. And sanitation is also an area we have neglected, yet it is necessary. We have to find ways of taking care of our wastewater. There's no way we'll have water and leave out sanitation. And both sanitation might also be a problem to climate change, because if we leave our wastewater to go to the rivers, then we are interfering with the ecosystem in the rivers. So the rationale behind this nature-based solution is that we are facing a double crisis of climate change and nature. The two are interlinked, they are mutual, intertwined. Destruction grows worse by day. So if nature and climate change are linked, then it only stands to reason that nature-based solutions lie at the heart of addressing both. Thank you so much, and let us act to address effects of climate change, and the time to act is now. Thank you very much, and may God bless you all. Let us clap for Vihiga Deputy Governor as he walks to the stage.
Thank you very much, the CCM for Environment and Climate Change in this great county of Kakamega, the County Chief Officer. I want to appreciate the moderator, the keynote address that we were able to get as a foundation for this engagement. The distinguished panelists, together with the partners and the discussants onto this important occasion, I want to acknowledge KWS, our good partners in Net Fund, USAID, just to mention a few. I'm Wilberforce Kitieso, the Deputy Governor of Vihiga County. It is my pleasure to join this discussion as we close. I was privileged to just have briefly joined together with my counterpart, His Excellency Ayub Savula. Then we left for other breakout sessions. But I want to speak to this. I think this was a well thought out item that has been canvassed, and it comes at the right time because there is no any other way that Kenya and counties and the regions are going to succeed when it comes to matters of nature, nature-based investments that speaks to the global attention around climate change. And I think all counties, our county of Vihiga, that is always sharing these resources with Kakamega, plus other counties, then we can't run away from the realities of getting our best done. To the panelists, to the moderator and the resource persons, counties are enabling concerted efforts and collective action at the grassroots level. The county chief officer had spoke about various laws that are enabling climate action, climate adaptation, climate mitigation, climate change mitigation. All this is because we are sensitive on the need for channeling, originating ideas, and concerting efforts that speaks to the local action, because that is where we find the most ideal opportunity of being as responsive as possible. And resources are shared, so the need for concerted effort, a case for Vihiga County and Kakamega County. When you look at the Kakamega forest, there is a strategic small portion that spills over to Vihiga at a place called Kibiri Forest. And that is why the leadership of Kakamega County, the leadership of Vihiga County, led by our respective governors, they've been able to now take a deliberate action of ensuring that we mobilize resources, we mobilize partners, and channel the resources to us once and for all, being that intentional, so that we can succeed in getting that which can be done. And I also want to share with this audience that right now at the local level, we are encouraging the need for investing in green energy, investing in converting the normal power that we use, but then by embracing even solar, so that we can go green. So I want to echo what the CC has been able to share with us in her remarks, that there lies a lot of opportunities that we can invest in nature-based resources, and how these can then speak comfortably to the issue of climate change mitigation. So it is incumbent upon us, the level to which and the time that has been allocated to this discussion item requires a continuation of this conversation. We've been able to be taken through ideas, but then if this conversation can be taken to further levels, be devolved to the required levels, we shall then make stakeholders to believe that they can walk the talk in realization of what it takes, as presented by this conference. So when we look at advancing investments in biodiversity, conservation, and nature-based solutions, the immediate solution lies in being able to lay the required legal frameworks that makes it easy for stakeholders, partners, various government agencies to require the action to be community-led. This will enable us to really be able to interest, attract, and ensure that we channel ideas towards realization of the subject matter that has brought us to this discussion. So I want to assure you that Kakamega County, Vihiga County, and the rest of the counties are providing the required leadership so that we can then move to the next level of being that as responsive as possible. So with those remarks, I was required just to briefly facilitate the closing of this important discussion. I look forward to us more engagement. This will not be the end of it. Please find time to engage with KWS. Find time to engage with my brother, the moderator, with the CCM for this great county handling this critical department, and the panelists behind me. They have rich wealth of experience, and also participation that did not get an opportunity to share this platform. So the conversation will make us better in realization of where we want to go, and interesting action that will attract investment. So thank you very much, and I wish you all the best, and look forward to us more engagements around this discussion topic. Asanteni sana.
Thank you, Your Excellency. I think we are very lucky. Net Fund, you are very lucky to getting their time is very hard. And that we had the 2 deputy governors, we had the 3 CCs. Here we have chief of party. Means there's a lot of interest in this area. So let me ask, we are gifting our guests. So I'll request the guest from KWS to just move forward and request Waziri Adambo to give her present, please. Atamba. Someone to come and help. Thank you, Mr. Chongwa, for the good work. And we know that you have a lot of history knowledge about this area, we shall tap into it. Thank you, Waziri. Yeah, Waziri, you'll also give to the community representative. Thank you. Amesema ako na nini? Neighbors wamejuana wakiwa hapa. Asante. Also give to our friend from the Climate Innovation Center. In him we have, our community will get some resources. So Bwana Gitechi, we expect that very soon. And then we have our friend from NetFund. If it was not of him, maybe he would not be here. Thank you. Thank you so much. Yeah, the next one, just a minute. Yeah, it's always honorable to have Excellencies gracing your occasion. So I'll call upon Your Excellency, the Deputy Governor, to come forward so that Waziri, our CC, can gift you. And you realize that if you invest in Vihiga, Kakamega benefits. If you invest in Kakamega, Vihiga benefits. So we are one and the other. Thank you. So that brings us to the close of this, and I request anyone who is inspired to come and pray for us. Nani atatuombea? Unajua huwezi chinja ng'ombe alafu pia you skin and you start distributing. Aya, community atatuombea, and we shall be at pleasure to interact. Also make networks. Usitoka hapa kama hujapata card ya hao wakubwa hawa. Karibu.
Let's stand up and pray. Our dear Heavenly Father, we want to thank you, want to appreciate you. We want to give you glory, we want to give you honor, we want to give you praise. We return all the glory unto you. Lord, as we started this particular conversation, Lord, we requested you, and you have really guided us up this particular wonderful moment. We thank you and we glorify you. I want to commit each and everyone as we are leaving this particular conference, guide each and everyone so that we may be able to reach our respective homes. We thank you and we glorify you. We know you're going to do it in a very mighty way. In Jesus' mighty name, I do believe and pray.
So NetFund will consolidate the discussions and share with us. But for our ministry staff who are here, we have our Director Environment, Anthony. You need to get the contacts. If you need any of us, Waziri is here. We have myself, we have Anthony, we have Peter. We have our friends who co-share the office from the Water Kenya